Morning, peeps. I'm back again. I'm outside in the garden today because we're having a very stress-free podcast today. You thought I'd be coming on ranting and raving, didn't you, about Jackson? But to be honest, I've done all that during the night, because I got up at 1 o'clock to watch Chelsea, and there was a lot of effing and blinding going on. To be honest, I was waking the whole house up and then ranting and raving at the TV. And but to be honest, we're half expecting it, really, weren't we? 'Cause we kind of knew he's a prick before the game even started. I mean, it was 3 yellow cards in 4 matches. Now it's 4 yellow cards in 5 matches, isn't it? So one thing I learned today is that Jackson has got to go. I think we've all realised that. We've given him plenty of time, haven't we, really? And we can't afford to give him any more because he's going to drop at least point 0.2 this game week. They've got Villa next, but he's looking worse and worse as each game goes by, isn't he, really? So he might score next week, but we don't really care, do we? Now we're past caring, aren't we? We just want him out of our teams. And we saw with Son and Sterling the other week that you should not be ruled by fear because a lot of people got Son in this week because they were afraid of not having him at Sheffield United. And it showed, he didn't do nothing, did he? So we can't keep Jackson just because we're continually worried that as soon as we take him out, he's going to get points. I mean, he might do, but by then no one's going to own him anyway, are they? Really, to be honest. Anyone who keeps him past this week, I mean, you'd be certifiable, wouldn't you, really? Because he's showing absolutely nothing, I mean, I was wrong about him before the season started. I got him in. But, I mean, really, he could have had 4 or 5 goals if he was even half decent. I mean, he's had a bit of bad luck, but to only get 1 goal in the first 5 weeks is pretty abysmal. And it's now affecting his play, isn't it? You can see he's got no confidence. Basically, he's got to go, hasn't he? So he's going to be gone. Now, so I think that's the strikers taken care of, isn't it? Because you're all thinking the same thing. Jackson's got to go. Even if you don't own Jackson and don't own Alvarez, you're probably thinking it's time you've got to get Alvarez in. So that's probably what I'll be doing this week, but I won't be knee-jerking it in. I'll be waiting for the right time because the first drop on Jackson doesn't affect my sell price anyway. So, unless something bad happens with Alvarez in the Champions League or whatever, that's probably what I'll be doing. And so I don't think we need to worry about anything more there except to say that Jackson at this stage, it's not a knee-jerk transfer out, but he's needs to go, doesn't he? So that's the strikers taken care of. So now the midfield. Now you're probably a bit shell-shocked, aren't you? Because a lot of you will have had a completely blank in your midfield. I know Saka got an assist, but we don't really count that, do we? But Sterling, Foden, Saka, Botman, Maddison, Son, Fernandes, Rashford, and the list just goes on, doesn't it? Of apart from Salah, of course, who had 2 assists and probably should have had another one. We're going to talk about him later because we need to start discussing Salah again. But I see no knee-jerk needed in the midfield because, to be honest, who are you going to bring in? Because I look at the transfers for this week, and the one that people are bringing in is Ward-Prowse. And you're not going to bring in Ward-Prowse, are you, when they're away at Liverpool? So once again, it's the transfer market being driven by really weird, strange people, who will get Ward-Prowse in just because he scored, even though his fixtures are awful. And we're not going to play like that. So if you've got Rashford, you're going to keep him. I'd say I'd keep everybody, basically, unless you're getting Salah this week. Now, I don't see any real reason to sell any of these people, to be honest with you. I mean, I'll give Sterling another week, unlike Jackson. And I'd be prepared to give Foden another week too. But the only reason I wouldn't is be if I'm getting Salah in, which is, I might do, to be honest with you, because it depends on the prices. It depends if Foden's going to drop in price this week. I might well move to Salah. I was thinking about it before this game week, wasn't I? And the reason I didn't go Foden to Salah was because I was worried about the flexibility of the team. I said I wouldn't be able to buy Trent and I wouldn't be able to buy Trippier. And that is a very important consideration, especially when you wouldn't be able to afford Son or probably Rashford either if you get Salah in. But Salah is consistently scoring, and at some time, very soon, we're going to have to make a definite decision about whether we go with Salah or we spread the funds around the team. Because at the moment, I'm doing neither. I haven't got Salah, and I've got 5 million in the bank, and that it's starting to annoy me a little bit. And so that's why we're going to talk about Trippier and Botman. Because if like me, because the midfield, fine, they all blanked. We're not worrying about that, I think. You know, a lot of people are rage wildcarding, but then where are you gonna go to? You know, who are you gonna get for Rashford? Who are you gonna get for Foden? Don't know because they all blanked, didn't they? It's not like you know, in a way it was better that everybody blanked, I thought, because supposing Rashford, Fernandez, and Son had all got big scores, then I really would have a bad game week. You know, I'd be sat here on 35 points like I am now, and other people be on 60 or 70 points, wouldn't they? Especially with Son. You know, another hat trick when people are captaining him could have been real difference maker in the rankings. But at the moment, if you got 35, you got 25, you got 45, it's not a disaster either way, or it's not a game winning. You know, you're not going to win FPL on that. There's some weeks where you've got really big differences, and that luckily, because everybody blanked, it didn't really hurt us too much, did it? So we'll talk about defence. Now, Chilwell, I did say a week or two ago that a lot of people, Chelsea people, wanted Chilwell dropped because he's not very good as a winger, and they've got others that can play as a left back. And I think Pochettino really wanted speed against Bournemouth's high line. He really wanted pace, so he got Mudryk in. Did it work? Well, not really, did it? To be honest, Mudryk was all right for 10 minutes, and then he was his usual self. So whether that experiment of playing Chilwell as a winger has finished, we just don't know, do we, at this stage? But if you did want to take Chilwell out this week, personally, I wouldn't hold it against you. You know, if you've got nothing else to do and you don't like him, get rid of him. You know, get Trippier, get Botman or whatever. And basically, that's it. So we're going to talk now about Botman and Trippier because last season, Trippier scored about 70 points more than Botman did. I think Botman got 8 bonus points and Trippier got about 39 bonus points. So there is a huge difference in output, I think, between Trippier and Botman. And it's 2 million more, but that's about, it was 70 last year. Let's say it's only 50 points this year. A 50-point difference between Trippier and Botman for 2 million. That's quite a significant difference, isn't it? I think you'll agree. That's a significant difference. And but the thing is, what you really need to consider here is Salah, because if you want Salah at some stage and you get Trippier, you're going to really limit your options going forward. I mean, look at my team here. At the moment, I can do Foden to Salah with this team. I've got the money for it. I've got 5.1 in the bank. I can go Foden to Salah. And I need to replace Henry. Now, if I replace Henry with Trippier, there's no way I can get Salah. I'm like nearly 2 million short. So the only way I can get Salah is to get Botman now. So I really have to decide very, very quickly whether I'm going to go without Salah for the foreseeable future, or whether I want to continue to leave space for Salah or just get him in now. And like I said before, it's very limiting having Salah because you can't get Trent, Trippier, Son, or even probably Rashford without making significant compromises to the rest of your team. And when you think that someone like Trippier is going to score 50 points more than Botman, and I dare say Trent is going to score 50 points more than 2 million 2 million defenders compared with him. Although, they haven't done much yet, Liverpool, but he is going to score a lot more points than most cheaper defenders, I think, over the season. When you're talking like 100 odd points difference, if you can get away without Salah, is Salah going to score? Is Salah in a 6.5 going to score more points than Rashford and Son, or a similar sort of combination? You know what I mean? That's kind of what you have to work out, and it's difficult. Very difficult to know at this stage. I mean, at the moment, Salah's scored every game just about, hasn't he? But he's not going to keep doing that. Although then again, he hasn't scored many goals yet, has he? And he is going to score goals. He's been getting a return in like the last 10 games or whatever, but a lot of the time it's only been a 5-point return or a 6-point return. But sooner or later he's going to properly haul, isn't he? And we have to decide whether we can compensate for not having him. And I'm going to have to decide very quick because this is really annoying, this injury to Henry. I picked my wild card in game week 3 specifically because Henry covers those horrible Tottenham fixtures that you doggies got for the next 2. So Henry's at home to Everton next week, and it looks like all those great plans have all come unstuck, and I'm now going to have to either go Botman or Trippier, and it's earlier than I wanted to because I haven't yet decided whether I'm going to need Salah or not. But it means you've got to be very careful when you make a transfer because you rule yourself out of future things, and getting Trippier is in that category. He rules things out. Botman rules nothing out, but then again, he's not Trippier, is he? And I watched that Newcastle game the other day, not owning Trippier, and I was worried because he was already on like 7 or 8 points or whatever. All it would have needed for another, an attacking return of some sort, which he got a whole load of last season. He's on all the corners, all the free kicks, everything. He's up there when plays open. He's always putting the crosses in, and it only takes like 1 or 2 attacking returns in the game, and suddenly he's on like 18 points or whatever. And it was quite worrying not having him. And his ownership is going to go up quite a bit, isn't it? So I really have to decide if I want Trippier and Trent at some stage, because Chilwell will become Trent very, very shortly, I suspect. Whether I want those two and maybe a Diaby or even a Liverpool midfield if it isn't Salah, or whether I just want Salah and none of the other players, have to make deal with cheap defenders like Botman. So we're all going to have to make that decision at some stage, I think. And it's not easy to decide, is it? So anyway, what else can we talk about? We'll talk about wildcards, because I've seen a lot of people. Initially, there was a very strong reaction before this week, wasn't there, for people to wait until game week 9 for the wildcard. But I'm seeing now, with events of this week, etc., that is there now less need to wait until game week 9, because we've already seen that Salah is in such good form that those that were going to wait till game week 9 to get him, he's pretty fixture proof. Should you just get him now? Well, he's cheaper. Should you, and the other reason why people were going to wildcard was because they wanted to keep their Chelsea assets until game week 9 as well. But you can argue now that the Chelsea assets are no longer anywhere near as important as they were a week or 2 ago, and that you could quite happily get rid of all of them, couldn't you, if you wanted? I'd be just as happy with Rashford in my team now, or someone like that, than Sterling. I'd be happier with a Trent or a Trippier instead of Chilwell, or anybody at all instead of Jackson. And the other thing is, you look at my wild card in game week 3, I got Leno and Areola in, and it cost me 8.5 million. And people that are waiting till game week 9 for the wild card. I mean, they're pretty much going to want that pair, I think, whether they go now or they go in game week 9. And the longer people wait, the more money they're going to have to pay. And that applies to a lot of people in the team. There's the old Bill going by. I'm probably looking for Jackson, to be honest. He's pretty. I can't even think of a joke now, peeps. But it's only 11 in the morning. I've already been up all night. So you're not going to get too many funny quips today. Or I did do a good joke about Russell Brand in my last attempt at doing this video. But it was a bit. It would have got me in a lot of trouble, to be honest. A lot of trouble on Twitter. You know what people on Twitter are like. But it was only a joke, peeps. But I shouldn't be comparing him with Jimmy Savile, should I really? But I said something about him having more fun than we do at FPL. But you can't say things like that, can you, when it involves that sort of fun? It's not consensual fun, is it? So we don't make jokes about that, peeps. Right, so anyway, what was I talking about? Forgotten now. That blooming siren went off. It's took all the stuff out my head. What was I talking about? That's right. People might want a wild card now instead of game week 9 because, to be honest, people at wild card now are probably going to wild card to almost the same team that they would have done if they'd waited until game week 9. The only difference is that players are getting more expensive for them to buy, and the ones that they're hanging on to in the meantime are losing value all the time, aren't they? I mean, if you wildcarded today, even if you wanted to say Rashford on your wildcard, you could wildcard today, take all these people out that are dropping in price, and the ones that you want you can put back at the end of a week and get them cheaper than they are now. And you're also getting the likes of Leno and Areola at a much cheaper price. And, originally people were waiting for game week 9 because of Chelsea and that, but it just doesn't apply anymore. So, I'm happy I used my wild card in game week 3. I've got players in on the cheap that are now costing more, like Botman and because he's got good fixtures coming up too. Madison, I got Madison really cheap. There's no rush to get Son anyway, whether you're going to wild card or not. And so the big question, of course, is, like I said before, is Salah or no Salah? And I don't think that's going to change. So at least if you haven't wildcarded yet, you can keep your options open, I guess, can't you? I mean, if you haven't wildcarded and you're sick of Chilwell, you can get Trippier in, and you can reassess when you use your wildcard. Because I already used mine, so I have to this is what I'm having to decide now, basically, between a Trippier and a Botman. But honestly, I don't think Botman is going to come anywhere near close to equaling Trippier. Although there's a bit of talk about Livramento, isn't there? Livramento coming in for Trippier on the easy games. But we've got no evidence of this. We've seen no evidence of it. I mean, Livramento hasn't even played yet, has he? So until you actually see something like that happening, I don't think it's really worth worrying about. The only other way to get Salah in and still have all these people, of course, is to downgrade Jackson to a 4.5 and just play Archer every week. Because let's be honest, I mean, Archer is no worse than Jackson, is he? So you could turn Jackson into a 4.5 that would free up funds for Salah and still probably allow you to have Trippier in your team as well. Although the whole Newcastle thing with Champions League, etc., we still don't really 100% know they're going to be the same team. I know they kept a clean sheet the other day, but are they going to be as effective as they were last year? We don't know yet, do we? And Chelsea's opponents too, Villa, they're in Poland, I think it is, on Thursday. So that's going to help Chelsea for their overall performance, you'd think. They've got all week to prepare, whereas Villa only got a couple of days. So, maybe this is the week. But even if Chelsea win, I mean, is it going to be Jackson? So I think Sterling's enough of a hold, to be honest. But I will keep Chilwell this week. and just to see what happens. Of course, his first price drop cost me nothing anyway. And that's enough about me, Pete's, but my team. But you all, a lot of you in the same boat, aren't you? I think if you got over 40 points this week, you're pretty happy, aren't you? But like I said, I mean, the doom and gloom I've seen on Twitter, it's not really a huge moving week. A few people it is, very few people, but for the majority of people, you're kind of stuck between 30 and 45 points or whatever. And so that's not a huge spread, is it? Like I said before, just be thankful. If you haven't got Son, just be thankful we didn't get a hat trick. Or if you haven't got Man United midfielders, just be thankful they didn't get anything. If you don't own Maguimo, same again. But I mean, they've got two good fixtures coming up, haven't they? And my team's actually looking all right for this coming week. So there's no knee jerking for me, except, like I said, Jackson, because I've had enough of him. Everyone's had enough of him. And it's not even a knee jerk at this point, is it, to get rid of him? It's more a necessity. It's starting to become that way. I mean, Alvarez is looking so good, and really you're risking damage if you hold on to Jackson any longer. You could argue we could have taken him out sooner, but the Bournemouth fixture did look tailor-made for Chelsea. I mean, that's why I kept all my through. I thought the pace, he'd get more opportunities and that, but he's just not on it, is he? Just not on it at all. Actually, I think Bournemouth should have probably won that game in the end. I mean, they had apart from Sterling's free kick, which, by the way, would have made the game look a whole lot better, wouldn't it? If that free kick had gone in, and there's just millimetres in it. And I said today that I can't think of a crueler game than FPL. What happened with Martinelli today? Scoring a goal. His patient owners kept him all this time. He scores a goal, takes about a minute to be ruled out. And then a minute later, he's on the floor. He's writhing about. He's off injured. He's had enough. He's had a gutser and he's gone. And his owners are left with 1 point. Whereas a minute before, they're celebrating, thinking about double-digit returns, thinking he's going to get a brace, and they were right to keep him all this time. Suddenly, all hope is dashed, and they're left with like 1 point. That to me, it sums up FPL. It's just a blooming roller coaster, isn't it? Absolute roller coaster. And it's every week something like this happens. You've got to do what I do, peeps. Get out for a run, lace up, get out the door, go to the beach, go jogging, sit at home in the garden. If life gives you lemons, then you, what do you do with them? I've forgotten the quote now. You eat them, I suppose. You make lemonade. That's what you do. And that's what I'll be doing in a minute, peeps, for this nice little lemon that's come out the garden. So I'm sat in the garden, should be mowing the lawn. I'm too lazy for that. So I'm going to make some lemonade instead and enjoy my day in the sunshine. It's springtime here. Me and the cat, we're outside, enjoying the weather. And we've got all the spring and summer to look forward to yet. And we're not going to worry if some prick like Jackson can't be bothered to score a goal, because I don't even mind him missing. It's all that to the referee, innit? All that, giving it there all the time, innit? Giving it that. And 4 blooming points he's lost now from yellow cards, and not a single one of them, I think, was from a foul. It's just from arguing with the referee. It's fucking brain dead. Next time he's probably going to do it on purpose next time, isn't he? So he gets a week off. He's probably so embarrassed at being out there that he'd do anything to get off the pitch. He must be he'd be the next Richarlison, wouldn't he? He's going to his head's going to go. As for Richarlison, I mean, that's another what we talk about, isn't it? FPL roller coaster. Comes in after everyone's sold him and gets a load of points and some blanks. Well, it's just crazy week. I mean, that Chelsea game, you'd think it would be the least likely game when 0-0, wouldn't you? But what can he do? I mean, Haaland could have had a hat trick. I mean, that would have been a big mover too, wouldn't it? Because a lot of people moved off him and captain Son. I mean, that could have, so a lot of people need to be thankful this week. Just thankful that it wasn't worse. I've seen a lot of people unhappy with this week. But I mean, I'm quite relieved myself, for not having Rashford. I was expecting a bad week this week, to be honest, with not having Son and I wasn't prepared to get a transfer in out of fear, which is what Sun would have been, because I highlighted last week his next two fixtures weren't perfect, and it used to transfer. And I'm not going to be ruled by fear, whether it's Fernandez, Rashford, or Son. So I stuck to my guns. It worked out in the sense that I got two free transfers this week. But what's really done me in, of course, is that little prick Henry, because it's completely ruined that nice little defensive rotation I set up, which in it, by the way, kind of illustrates why defensive rotations often don't work. Because when you've got five players that you need to keep using, there's a lot more chance of an injury to one of them than if you just use the same three defenders every week. So Henry, he's only played for me once, and he was on the bench for that game. And now I need him injured. Although, fingers crossed, makes a miraculous recovery. But I can't see it. And he's given me a very tricky, like I said, he's given me a very tricky option now between Botman and Trippier. And as I've outlined, it's not as easy as it may seem, because every decision affects future decisions. Anyway, peeps, that's enough of that. I'm going off to make my lemonade now. And I'll talk to you all later, because I'm going to come on and do a couple this week, I think, if I get the time. I'm away next week playing chess. And so, yeah, I'll probably do another one, because it's going to be an interesting week, this one, isn't it? Champions League and that. And on the subject of Champions League, if you're sick of FPL, go and make your team for the Champions League at the UEFA website, because it starts tomorrow, I think, doesn't it? So it's good having different formats. It takes away the pain of a bad week a bit. I mean, I play fan team, and my team, I haven't made a single transfer in my team all season. And in fan team, they build up. Like if you don't use a transfer, it builds up more than one. So I've got 5 transfers now, and I haven't used a single one all week. And the funny thing is, my team's top 500, and it's a shitty looking team. It's got like Pau Torres in it from Aston Villa. I've got Tarkowski in it from Everton. I've got Pickford. No Tottenham players or anything, because I haven't yet made a transfer. Because you can save them, I decided it was better to just save up a whole load and then do like a mini wild card, and then I can keep my wild card until like Christmas time. And by not making transfers, it means I haven't chased after the likes of Sterling. I haven't chased after Son, any of them. I'm just using, like, I've got people like Bowen in my team, and they've been scoring really, really well. Because it's so easy to miss points, isn't it? You can, people can take out Fernandez or Rashford this week, and you could easily get double figures next week. Even ones you're peeved off with, like Foden, or dare I say it, Jackson, could even get a double figure haul next week. So sometimes doing things isn't the right. Sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. I've lived my whole life on this philosophy, Pips, which is why I'm in the garden with my lemons. Because sometimes doing nothing, getting the, what's it called again? My hammock out and just relaxing, better than running around like an idiot and ending up worse than when you started, So no knee jerks this week. That's the key from this one. No knee jerks, because Jackson isn't a knee jerk. He just is a jerk. And we don't want jerks in our team. And we're not going to knee jerk him out, because we've got all week, unless you're going to lose money on him on his first drop. I don't think he drops tonight, but I haven't checked for a few hours. It's moving quite quickly, the price market. But like I said before, the midfield market, they're all losing lots of owners, all of them. And you think, well, who are they buying, all these people? Because you can only got one transfer. It seems everybody's buying Ward-Prowse and Mbuemo, and some are buying Salah, of course. But all the mids are like losing owners real quick. So, and they're not bad players, are they? I mean, it's Foden, all of them are not bad players. So we shall see. Even people getting rid of Son a week after they bought him. Anyway, peeps, I'm off now. So I really have had enough now. And I need to go for a lie down soon. So I'll have some lemonade, go for a lie down, and then will I watch Forest tomorrow? I don't know. I just hope that Turner's not playing, because I can see Turner, because everyone's got him, thinking of having a bad game week. He's going to get them like 12 points, and then I really will have had a bad game week. So don't want Turner getting lots of points. And then what we want, of course, is Turner not to even play because I think he had a child the other day. He was looking pretty tired, and he was going to be replaced anyway soon, I think. So good time to do it, and a good excuse for the manager. Give him a week off so he can have a look at his new goalkeeper. It makes it easier for him to decide what to do, doesn't it? And anyway, it picks him off now because it makes it easier for me to decide what to do, and that's to disappear. So like and subscribe anyway, and I'll talk to you all later in the week. Okay, then cheers for now then, peeps.